Hey everyone, welcome to Birds of a Feather. Today I'm paying homage to an artist that I've come to love online by the name of Windy Chien. Particularly, I adore one that she did, that she created out of circles. What I have here are these plastic rings that pop onto a paint can to seal it and hold it closed. They're only one-time use, they are recyclable, but I'm going to create something out of it using a crochet hook instead of macrame. However, I am still going to use some macrame cord to create it. To start, I've got my two spools here, one on the left, one on the right. I'm going to take this one on the right and I'm going to insert it through the loop. I'm just going to put it back onto the spool holder. Now, you don't necessarily need the spool holder. I've just got it just for the sake of doing the video because it helps me keep organized. So, the left cord is under and the right cord is over. I'm going to take this right side here and I'm going to create a slip knot. I'm just going to hold that knot down. Okay, so grab the cord on the left, and the left-hand cord is always going to come over the crochet hook from front to back as I'm showing you here. And you can just hold on to it. Now I'm going to take the cord on the right, I'm going to come up and over the hook as you see, and through those two loops. Now you can drop that right one, pick up the left again, and again, you're coming over the crochet hook from front to back, and you always do this with the left-hand cord. I'm going to grab the right-hand cord, come up and around, and through the two stitches. So again, I'm grabbing the left-hand cord, up and over, hold on to that stitch. I'm going to bring this right-hand cord through the hoop, over, and through the two stitches. Then drop it, you can tighten that up. From front to back, bringing that around the back, over the crochet hook, and through the two stitches, the two loops on your hook. So once again, picking up the left-hand cord, over the crochet hook from front to back, hold on to that, bring the right-hand cord through the loop underneath, come over, and through those two stitches. Then drop that cord, pick up the left cord, and again, with the left cord, you're always coming over the hook in the same manner from front to back, holding on to it. Then you're picking up your left hand cord, coming over the hook, and through those two stitches. As you can see, you're getting a really nice texture here. So I'm just going to do a few more and then I'm going to show you how to join two hoops together. So I've done 5 sets of double knots here, and I just want to point out that I've left the rings with the recess showing. Now you can have them with the flat side showing if you prefer that, but I'm going to leave it this way because that gives me a little more options to do a little something else with it. Not sure if I will, but I am going to leave it for now. So you do have that choice. So I'm going to bring my next ring over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the right hand cord and I'm just going to bring it under, and then I'm going to put it back over here on my thread stand. Okay, so once again, as we've done before, I've got the left cord here and I'm bringing it over the crochet hook. I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to bring the cord from behind this loop, and as usual, I'm bringing it through the 2 loops on the hook. And there, you've effectively joined your hoop here. So one other thing I'm going to do is actually bring the yarn up through this hoop. I want that free and clear. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is turn the work around because I want to go in the opposite direction. In some instances, when you put these hoops together, you are going to continue on in the same direction, and in some instances you're going to turn around and you're going to work back in the opposite direction. So in this case, which is just slightly more complicated than continuing it on, you want to get your threads knotted up here. Okay, so just make sure you've got your threads untangled before you continue. Now, the right hand cord, I'm just going to bring over to the left side here. Once again, I'm picking up the left cord over the hook, hold on to it. I'm going to bring the right hand cord through the hoop. I'm going to come over and through those 2 loops. And this is exactly what we did previously. So I'm going to drop the right hand cord, pick up the left, up and over from front to back, hold on to that, bring the yarn up and around and through those 2 loops. Drop the right, pick up the left, come over front to back, pick up the right hand cord, come down through the loop, up and over, and through those 2 stitches. You can tighten up as you go so that you have consistency. Again, I'm picking up the left hand cord, up and over from front to back, pick up the right hand cord, and come through those 2 loops. And so let me show you how that's looking. You've got beautiful texture running both ways along the hoops. So you're just going to repeat that process, joining loops, and then we're going to form them into somewhat of a diamond shape, just like Windy did. I want to get a little bit closer, just in case you couldn't see what I was doing before. You've got your right hand cord, your left hand cord. They're both separate here. As always, when you grab the left, it's going to come over the hook from front to back. You're going to hold on to that with your finger. Then you're going to take this right hand cord, come up through the hoop, over from front to back, and pull through the 2 loops on your hook. You can tighten that up. Now you can drop the right hand cord, pick up the left, come up and over the crochet hook from front to back as you always do, and this time you're bringing your right hand cord around the hoop and you're approaching it from the top, coming over the hook from back to front and pulling through your 2 loops. Again, tighten that off. So again, you're coming over from front to back, holding on to that. You're coming underneath the hoop from the bottom. You're coming over and through the 2 loops on your hook. Then you're dropping this right hand one. You're going to tighten that up. Pick up the left, come over from front to back, and this time you're going to come over the top, forward over the hook from back to front, and pull through 2 loops on your hook. So I hope that was helpful, because in one instance when you bring through the right hand cord, it's at the top, and in the second instance you're coming through the bottom. I just want to show you that at this point I did turn my hoops from this indented side. So at this point, I'm gonna add another one on right here, and this is gonna come around this way. So again, to join my next hoop, I'm just gonna place it over this spool and bring the cord through. So now it's in the back. I'm gonna take my left cord, put it over as I always do, bring this around and pull it through the 2 loops. And that connects my 2 hoops here. So I'm going to continue on in the same manner, coming over. The right cord comes down and around the bottom, over from front to back, and through these next 2 loops. And you can tighten that up, make sure you've got it well connected here. And again, left cord up and around the hook. Right cord this time comes from the top, over from back to front, and through the 2 loops. And then tighten. Again, over from front to back. The right hand cord comes down from the bottom this time, and this time it's coming front to back and through the 2 loops. And tighten that off. And we're nicely connected here. So again, up and over. This time we're coming from the top, over from the back to the front, and through those 2 loops. And tighten up. Left hand cord over from front to back. You're bringing the right hand cord down to the bottom, up and around, over the hook from front to back, and through the 2 loops. And tighten up. And again, left hand, up and around, from front to back. Your right hand cord comes down from the bottom, up around the top, over the hook, from back to front, and through the 2 loops. And tighten up. Again, from front to back. Make sure you've got enough cord. And this time we're coming from the top and through our 2 loops. Whoops, that's wrong. You have to keep track of whether you're at the top or the bottom. So again, left hand cord comes over, right hand cord comes down around the bottom and up and through the 2 loops. Left hand cord down around the bottom. This time it's coming from the top, up and over, and through 2 loops. And so there you've got your loops connected. And I'm going to continue on in this direction. And again, I'm going to cover like about half of this particular loop, so that it's looking similar to the picture here. Now I'm ready to add my 4th ring. I've got my triangle forming here. So this 4th one is going to be right here, and then this is going to continue right around this way. So this is the 4th hoop that I'm going to be connecting. And again, I've got the right hand cord running underneath and through that one. I've got the left cord just free and clear. I'm going to come over, I'm going to grab that right hand cord, come over and through. Now in this case, I want to continue on in this direction. So I'm merely just going to turn the work. Now I don't know if I have room to do that here. Let's try to do this carefully with the camera here. Just move some stuff out of the way. So to continue in this direction, I'm going to grab the left cord, and this time you want to put the thread right through again. Now that we're going in the opposite direction. You always want the right hand cord coming up and around like this. So I'm going to pull that through. Now take the left cord. We're going to come down around the bottom and pull through both loops on the hook. Again, left cord comes onto the hook from front to back. We're going to take the right hand cord here, come up to the top and through those two loops. Up and over with the left, pull through the right to the bottom and through the two loops. Now we're coming from the top. Now we're coming from the bottom. As long as you remember for your right hand cord to come from the top, then the bottom, and alternating top, bottom, each time you come around, you'll be golden. You're gonna run into instances like I have where your left hand cord just wants to twist around itself. So just grab it and turn it clockwise to untwist. And I'm putting it right back on my stand here, and I can continue working. Tighten your knots as you go. As you're bringing the right hand cord through, make sure that your left hand cord is pushed over to the right here. If you come through this way, it's not going to work. So make sure it's as far over to the right as you can get, so that when you pull through, it's knotting the correct way. And that way it's twisting around. So because of that twisting motion, that's why it tends to curl up on itself. So occasionally you will have to stop, and as I showed you just a few moments ago, just turn your spool clockwise, and that will get rid of that. When you're planning your design, be sure to draw yourself a sketch so that you know exactly where you're going to be crocheting and where you have to attach things as you go. I just want to point out that it's important to know where your attachments are, because I just realized that I missed a connection right here between these two loops. And so now I have to undo all this, connect that first, and then continue on. Now, if you want to keep track of how your hoops are forming, you can just take some contrasting yarn here and just tie them together in formation. And this is just temporary until we have more of our formation crocheted. So I'll cut this and I'll tie this off, and then we'll continue adding more hoops as we go. So I'm actually working with 9 of the hoops here. I have myself this template that I can draw my circles. Then I just traced around where I want to crochet, and this is the direction I'll be going. And lastly, I've attached everything together so that I know the positioning of each one. Now when I come along, I'll be able just to follow my diagram and trace around where I indicated on my plan here. Now that I have my plan in place, I know that I'm going to be coming around this way, so I'm just going to back off a few stitches, and then I'm going to join these two together and continue on my way. I do want to point out that when you do join 2 hoops together, that the right hand cord is coming underneath the hoop you're working on and is coming across and underneath and through the hoop that you're joining. You may have to shift your work out of alignment when you're working on it, but when it comes to the joins, be sure you put it back into the formation that it's going to be on the wall, so that you know how far you have to come to join your next hoop here. Now that my hoops are in alignment in this diamond shape here, I'm ready to join my next hoop right there where you see the hook. Once again, I brought the right hand thread through both loops, under and around, and now that they're joined, I can release this piece of string that's tying them together. And this is why it's so important to have a diagram to be able to follow, so that you know where you're going and you don't get lost in it. To get a better join, since we have our right hand cord coming under both this hoop and this hoop, we're just going to go ahead as we normally do and do our first stitch, and then on our second stitch we want to come through both hoops so that we can capture them both. Now that'll be well secured. And for our next stitch, we're just going to come through our hoop here. Let me just grab some more cord, a little bit of slack. And tighten that off. Now we're going to continue on our way. In the usual manner. By coming through just this hoop here. Tighten off. So as you can see, we're now attached to here. We're going to move on in this direction and continue our pattern. And anytime you meet up with a place that you need to connect the next one, you're going to be sure to connect them both and continue on. So I've got my double stitch here, as you can see by these 2 cords. And the next time I take a stitch, I'm going to continue on to this hoop here. It just needs to be enough to join them together. For the sake of consistency, I now have my rings in formation again. And as I mentioned, when you're working on it, you're going to have to shift things around so that you can easily access the area that you're working on. But now again, it's in formation, and what I've done is I've taken the opportunity to mark my work surface with the outer limits of the middle row of rings, and I've also marked the bottom down the middle and the 2 ends here. And that's so when I'm coming to join and I put it back into formation, I can ensure that I'm going to have the same consistency of where everything's at, because you can easily skew it as it's being worked on. Now I'm at the point where I'm going to make another join. So this string is no longer needed. I can go ahead and cut it. In other areas I actually looped it, so I can just slip it. So you can do either way. Now, in order to work on it, I have to rotate it this way in order to join it. And that's so that I'm facing the correct way. So, I'm going to do my first stitch. I'm coming up and over. I'm going to come through the bottom of both these loops with the right hand cord, come over the front of the hook and bring it through these two loops. This is the same stitch that we always do. Now I'm going to tighten off the right hand cord there. I'm going to come over. The right hand cord comes over the top and through those two loops. There, now I've got my connection, and I'm going to continue on along this part. So I'll just give myself a little bit more slack. I'm going to come up and over. This time my cord is coming just through this loop here, because that's the one I'm going to continue working on. I'm going to tighten off that right hand cord to prepare it. Up and over with the left cord, grab the right cord, come over the hook from back to front, and through the two loops. Tighten that off and make the next stitch. Up and over, we're going to come through under the bottom of the hoop we're working on, over the hook, and through those two loops. Tighten off, and then bring that right hand cord to the back to prepare it for the next stitch. Up and over with the left cord from front to back, you're grabbing your right hand cord, over the hook, and through those two loops. As long as you remember that this two-stitch process, the right hand cord is coming from the top initially and then the bottom, as I'm about to show you, you're going to be good to go. You just have to remember that two-stitch repeat. So left cord always comes from front to back, right hand cord gets pulled through the bottom, over the front of the hook, and through those two stitches. Now, tighten that up and tighten that up, and you're ready to go with your next stitch. So I'm going to show you one more time, and then I'm going to break here and continue on. Left hand cord up and over the hook from front to back. Now the right hand cord, this is my top stitch. So over the hook and through those loops. Tighten up. Make sure you've got enough slack for your next stitch. Once again with the left hand cord up and over the hook. Now this is your bottom stitch. It's coming under that hoop, just pull it under, up and over the hook from front to back and through those two loops. Tighten up, tighten your right hand cord to prepare it for the top stitch. So in just a few minutes I'm going to have to get my hoops back into formation again, and to do that I'm just simply going to rotate it around so that it's in the correct position. I'm just going to slide it against the wall, and I'm going to drag everything around until my tape matches up with where I positioned it. So it's just going to take a little bit of shuffling. You want to make sure that you're in between your right and left markers. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but the right and left markers go right through the center on the outer parts of the rings. Okay, so now that I'm in position, I can see that I have a few more stitches before I have to connect to this next one. Now, as you're working, if you want to prevent shifting, you can put something heavy on either end of the middle row of your rings. I've got 2 antique irons here. With those weighed down, you'll still be able to work on this center section here, as I'm doing. The thing I like about working with crochet, as I'm doing here, versus macrame, is that with macrame you have to have your art piece in a vertical position to work on it easily. And here I'm able to sit and relax and do this in comfort. After each stitch, just be sure to tighten off that knot that you're creating. That allows you to keep a consistent tension as you go. And also, you want to pull back on your right hand cord to prepare it for the stitch that's going to come from the top. Because it's easy to grab it elsewhere and not have it positioned correctly, and then your knots are going to get all out of whack. So pull back on your right cord, like I mentioned, and you're ready for the next stitch. Now, as you're positioning this, you also want to keep in mind that, you could work like this, really scrunched up, but I'm spreading things out like so, and that's how I want it to look. So, in this instance, I'm ready to connect to my next loop here. So we're ready to join. We're going to take our left cord, we're going to come over as we always do. The right cord comes under both of these plastic loops here, up and over the hook, and through our 2 loops as usual. There's really nothing different in joining. The only difference is you just want to incorporate your next loop. So you're going to be coming under both of them together. So to finish your stitch, again, up and over. This time you're coming down around the bottom of both your loops, not just one. Up and over as usual, and through your 2 loops on the hook. And again, you want to tighten off. Now that I'm joined, I can come along and cut that away, and I'm going to continue on according to my pattern. So this one comes up and around, and I'm going to come across this one next. So in order to do that, I'm going to make sure my right hand cord is positioned in the back, tighten off, left one comes over as usual, right one comes over just in the back here, and I'm coming through both these loops. Once again, I'm coming over, down around, just one loop. Now that you're all tightened up, left cord comes over, you're positioned over the top here with your right cord, through your 2 loops, and tighten off. Over, bring this down to the bottom, over your crochet hook, and through. Once again, you're going to tighten off the right hand cord so that you're ready to come up and over the top. Just a matter of picking it up and pulling through those 2 loops. Left hand cord, right hand cord comes down through the bottom, over your hook through your 2 loops. And tighten up. Now again, as you can see, my left-hand cord here is twisting on itself, so I'm just going to take the opportunity to take it off the spool that I have it on here, the thread spool, and I'm just going to rotate it clockwise and just untwist. I don't want any twists in my cord, and that's good to go. I'm going to return that to the thread stand, continue on, make sure you have enough slack, just pull your cord. You really will find that you get into a rhythm as you're going along. So every once in a while, just stop to reposition and just see where you're at. And just take a moment to position everything where you want. The head of my art piece is against the wall, so when I flip this, I'm going to put the bottom of my art piece against the wall so that it's easier for me to access these other areas as I crochet. In case you have to shift anything, another way of knowing where to stop and start your stitches in order to join the next hoop is to put a piece of green painter's tape right here at the start and also here at the end. That way, if I move anything, I know exactly where on this particular hoop I'm starting and stopping. I'm finding it very useful to place my green tape at the start and stop of my rings while they are in formation, because when I turn this around so that I can crochet at the proper angle, it's so easy to lose sight of where that marking's going to be. So there it is. I'm going to continue to rotate this just until I can pick up that hook and start crocheting. And I'm heading right over there. I've got everything in position once again, and I'm just going to double check that that's where I want to connect. It's matched up to the painter's tape that I put onto my work surface here. So I can be assured that I can connect right here and continue on. So there isn't too much to go. Once I connect here, I'm going to continue on in this direction, connect to this hoop, and I'm going to come down and around and end off. Once I'm connected to my next hoop here, I'm going to come along, cut that black thread, it's no longer needed. I'm going to rotate my work, make sure I have slack on both my threads. Now for some reason I managed to get myself a little bit tangled here with my yarn. As you can see, once you're connected, it's just a simple matter of continuing on according to your diagram. Now it won't take long before I get to my next join here. So as I progress, in a moment, I'm going to put the rings back into configuration so I can see where I'm at. And again, you can use the trick where you place your green tape at the start and the end, and that way you've got a visual reference too, without having to put everything back into formation again. It's so exciting to be in the home stretch. Just one more hoop to go. So I'm almost done, and I'm going to take this opportunity to put a little bit of fishing wire at some strategic points, perhaps vertically and side by side. I'll see what it needs. So here, for instance, where I'm going to release this piece of black cord, I'm going to tie some fishing line, and this is going to be virtually invisible. I know you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing here, but I think it will make a difference in how it hangs. Just going to take some scissors and cut that a little long. I'll push that towards the back. I'll give it another couple of knots just to be sure that it holds. And then I'm going to come along and do the same thing to a few other areas. So for now, I can cut that piece off because it's done. For the last stitch here, I've just got one loop connecting these two. So I am going to come through the bottom as I usually would, go through my 2 loops. Then I'm going to tighten that off. Now I'm going to come through that loop before I grab this. And that way they're connected. And it ties in. So now I can go ahead and cut my yarn, and I'll hide these 2 ends. Let's just do this now. I'll bring them both through, and now I can go ahead and weave these ends underneath. I'll just bring it around to the back. So I'm going to bring the crochet hook through, and I think I'll do this maybe one at a time. Just bring that right through. I'll come grab the other one, and I'll do the same thing. Bring that through. Now I'll probably carry it through a little bit more and knot those together, and those will be hidden in the back. For the shorter end I left at the beginning, I'm using this latch hook to capture it because it's too short to catch with the crochet hook, which is a little too slippery to hold it there. So this makes quick work of it. And there you go. The ends are hidden in the back in that groove that would have been on the paint can lid. And down here, same thing, hidden in the back. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in some of the products that we used, I'll leave links down in the description. Don't forget to subscribe